Hello everybody, it is your Quintessential Stud Muffin DeeJay here. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up that there might be a little bit of audio crackling and a little bit of just basic audio jankness during this episode. Just wanted to give you a heads up that I'm aware of it. I'm going to fix it all for the next episode, and hopefully you won't have to deal with subpar podcasting from us ever again. But knowing us, I can't really give you a guarantee or promise for that, just betterness in the future. Anyway, enjoy the episode.
Cup of coffee in the big time, yeah. Oh, yeah! Nobody does it better.
Tip of the elbow to you all. We are back. It is Lariat Latte V2.
Oh my god.
Because we're running that shit back real hard and actually making a podcast that is enjoyable and not full of us trying to struggle through every week of Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and whatever the fuck bullshit. I'm your quintessential muffin, Stud Muffin, DeeJay. Alongside me, the hopefully now ever-present...
Oh, yeah, hello. That's me.
And you are...
Native American Nate.
Sure, we'll go with that now. Native American Nate. And,
I'm Jorg Belmondo, aka Jake.
And the babyface to swoon the masses are senpai of knowledge.
Fuck off.
Broku.
I'm the senpai of knowledge.
Yeah, you are very pedantic as fuck when it comes to things.
Broku is our Nippon specialist.
Yes, our Nippon eye in the red eye sky.
Damn, makes me sound like a weeaboo.
I mean, he's not wrong.
So this is episode 6 of Lariat Latte, but it is in reality episode 1 of Lariat Latte because I've decided I'm not gonna fucking do what every other wrestling podcast does and try to review Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and every single wrestling thing that gone on during the week. Because, number one, plenty of places do that. There's Solid Monster Sound Off. There's a bunch that I can name that do it perfectly, so I don't want to do that. Number two, I want to talk about wrestling and actually have fun with it and not feel like I have to be stapled down to a chair and watch Jinder Mahal talk about how Shinsuke Nakamura is a static Pikachu that has a seizure every night. So from now on...
it's amazing. You have to admit, though, it's absolutely amazing how he gets zero response. Not even a negative response, but zero.
No, and that's what should happen. If, like, the basic rule is if you despise someone and do not want them to be over at all, because if you boo him, you're just letting him win, because that's what he wants.
Exactly.
So the best thing you could do is if you don't want this guy, like a guy that you hate to be pushed, just be silent. Don't give him any reaction. That speaks louder than any boo.
Yeah, any reaction is a good reaction.
Because that's what Vince wants. Vince wants to rustle your jimmies. That's his goal in life, is to rustle every Mark's jimmies. But anyway, up to the topic at hand. So from now on, this is going to be a monthly podcast, because I feel like that's going to work out for everyone here. Every month, we are going to be discussing a topic for the podcast. So there'll be topic like WrestleMania, New Japan Pro Wrestling, a certain match, a certain title, like just basically any type of topic underneath the sun. I'm sure Jake has a bunch of topics that he would be interested in talking about. Mr. Broku has a few that he would like to talk about. But yeah, they're not ramble on. New topic every month, all that stuff. Guests even. I'm actually going to try to get guests to join us for a certain topic that they might be good at.
We're gonna get wonderful people like I don't know who.
I guarantee you, two people I could actually get that would be really cool is OSW's Jay Hunter. I could probably get him to come on. And I could probably get our boy from Too Many Games, Attack Slug, that has an awesome YouTube channel that basically he plays through wrestling games and talks about what's happening during the week. So like, these are two cool people that are more popular than us that I could probably get on the podcast. But we will see. When that time comes, I'll contact them. But with that out of the way, today's topic is no topic. Actually, the topic of today is us. So I figured to start off this new branching Lariat Latte, me, Jake, and Broku can discuss what our various likes and dislikes are of wrestling, how we got to be wrestling fans, what we look for in a great match, all this stuff. Basically, our preferences for us being wrestling fans, because we all have differing tastes. Like, for instance, Jake really looks for like a really good, compelling match, and I am I'm more about
the story that happens in the ring than on the mic.
And I like when a storyline has like good promos attached to it. I mean, I'm also a big story guy too. Like, you know, plenty of wrestlers can tell amazing stories in the ring by just their ring work. A great example was New Japan Pro Wrestling's Wrestle Kingdom 12's Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho. Sure, there was a bunch of stuff and vignettes and all that stuff that led up to that match, but you can tell if you didn't watch any of that going into the match, you could tell that these two hated each other. You could tell the ferocity by both of them. I'm sure there's better examples than that, but that's the first one that comes up to head. I think, though, with this, we'll start off with Broku, because I don't really know what Broku looks for as a wrestling fan, what his tastes and preferences are.
Tell us the story of how you were born as a wrestling fan.
What, like, how I watched my first match or something? Like,
yeah, let's
what began Broku Mania?
Yeah, let's start off with that. What was your first instance of wrestling?
Well, my dad randomly turned on SmackDown one night, and it just so happened it was Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio versus Eminem.
That was actually a really good feud.
That was my first match. It was the first time watching wrestling. It was pretty great. Watching Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero just team together and then somehow end up facing each other at WrestleMania. Or what's that after WrestleMania?
I think, if I remember correctly, that was before their WrestleMania match. They were kind of starting to have a little tension between each other, and Eddie Guerrero was starting to have a little bit of jealousy toward Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, SmackDown.
Wait. Was the match when like Eddie Guerrero just decided to watch Rey Mysterio get the shit beat out of him by Eminem?
Yeah, I don't think Eminem was around before WrestleMania 21.
I'm pretty sure they were. Regardless, I think it might have been that. But so your first impression of it was SmackDown circa 2003?
I'm gonna say
no,
2005.
That's 2005. 2005, really? 2006.
Yeah, that was a good time. Made me believe
because Eddie had already lost the championship at that point.
Yeah.
That's right.
To JBL.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
And Eddie Guerrero passed in 2006.
Yeah. So I
and that was around one of his last feuds. Yeah, so like 2005. You're right.
So I was able to catch a Eddie Guerrero match before, his untimely passing.
You ever want to ask about the Ruthless Aggression Era? I might know a bit.
But yeah, I got to experience some of the Ruthless Aggression Era, and I think it's an underrated era.
No, 100%.
No, it is.
Is majorly underrated by a lot of people.
Like everyone wants the Attitude Era back, but Ruthless Aggression, that was something else.
I'm honestly going to say that, because I've been going back, and for those that haven't watched old Lariat Lattes, I've actually been going back and watching all of Goldust's matches from when he first started to now. And so I've had to go through a bunch of Attitude Era Goldust stuff. And I honestly have to say, like, watching a bunch of Attitude Era stuff, I think Ruthless Aggression Era stuff holds up way more than Attitude Era stuff, because there are some really good things happening in the Attitude Era, but to be completely honest, half of it was horse crap.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's what a lot of people don't remember. Everyone remembers the bad and doesn't remember the good. Like, there's a lot of garbage in the Attitude Era.
There was Sable getting the fucking push that she doesn't deserve because she's not even a fucking wrestling
what
fan.
what about the whole fucking kennel from hell match?
Kennel from Hell. Oh, I think that's just fucking hilarious. And honestly, those two, like, they weren't going to have like a compelling, legitimately serious feud. I mean, for fuck's sake, they were fighting over Chihuahua that fucking Al Snow had.
Yeah, that Al Snow had and ate.
Yeah, so I don't really have that many gripes with that one. So Broku, after that, so that was your first watching of wrestling. What was your first, in your mind, because sometimes, like, you know, you can't really remember what your actual first pay-per-view that you watched was. What was the first wrestling pay-per-view that you ever watched?
First wrestling pay. Let's see. I remember paying for, Night of Champions? Was it 2007?
I think they...
Oh, it's Clash of the Champions. No, Night of Champions.
Were they doing Night of Champions 2007?
Yes. No. Yeah, because wasn't that CM Punk versus Johnny? Yeah, John Morrison for the WWE title.
That's right. I feel like that would have started in 2009 though.
Well, I think it was like Vengeance presents Night of Champions, or it was something else presents Night of Champions.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and I remember being so worried because I was looking up the internet rumors of Chris Benoit not showing up.
Yeah, that's definitely not Night of Champions then, because they didn't have Night of Champions if Chris Benoit was around.
It may have been Vengeance then.
Yeah, that sounds like Vengeance.
John Morrison versus CM Punk for the ECW title?
Yeah. It was like, they had a series of matches that were all pretty trash. Except the last one where Punk actually won. Like, they just couldn't find the right chemistry together.
I could see that. They're two very differing athletes. John Morrison is very flashy moves and stuff like that. CM Punk's very, like, grounded and, like...
very basic.
Yeah. Alright, so that was your first pay-per-view. So, Broku, as many of us struggle in this day and age, as a wrestling fan, what makes you continue to be a wrestling fan through all the bullshit storylines, the awfulness that you have to sit through day in and day out? And that's not occurring in every single promotion, as I've now witnessed and seen the light of New Japan Pro Wrestling. But what makes you continue to be a wrestling fan even when your dedication, let's say, wavers?
The wholesome web friendships I see on, Twitter, Facebook, from different wrestlers.
So you see the appeal in the community?
Yes, I see pretty much.
I could agree with that. The wrestling...
Because the storylines could be awful, but if I see an amusing tweet between two wrestlers, I'm just like, how can I ever just drop this?
It's weird because I feel like wrestling fan communities are like two double-sided coins. There's a really good niche of wrestling fans, and then there's
a lot of good people and there's a lot of cancer.
Yeah, there's people that were what was the example recently? There was Piper Niven that was coming on, and there was nothing but Facebook comments of oh, she's a fat fuck and all that shit. So so that's the cancer side of it, but there's also the wholesome side of it that's yeah, we can get behind this dude.
Yeah, pretty much. If I have never saw the tweets between Chucky T and Trimperetta, I probably hate wrestling.
Yeah, that's also very appealing too.
Best friends.
Yeah, best friends.
Cause I've Jacob Cena. I've gotten very excited when such great wrestlers as Dijak and the Boys retweet one of my stupid tweets about them.
Well, that's the whole thing. That the Twitter age of wrestling has changed a lot of stuff because it's so much easier for you to interact with the people that you enjoy.
Yeah, I mean that's the argument that could be said for anyone in general, from YouTubers to even big celebrities and musicians and stuff like that. But I find it's definitely more, I don't know, I feel like wrestling fans, like wrestlers communicating with wrestling fans on Twitter is more so than a lot of other communities. I could be wrong, but I kind of see it more. I see wrestlers.
Well, no. Oh, well, stuff like voice acting and whatnot. They seem to.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
There's also
But I
Instagram.
100% get what you're saying.
Like, yeah, there's also Biggie's Instagram, which is like,
Which is basically a Vine.
yes.
So, Broku, I'm not gonna put you on the spot here. So, and it doesn't have to be your be-all, end-all, best match of all time. But just to give our listeners like an idea of what would be a match that you would mark out to. What, in your opinion, is a match that you remember fondly remembering or being excited about, or one that you feel holds up today, or just like one of your favorite matches in general that sticks out in your head?
Like, back then?
In general. Like, it could be from 1990 to 2018. Like, just a match that is like, yeah, I can get behind this match and I can shout to the heavens, this is a fucking awesome match that I appreciate.
I can't think
or
of
a dirty
anything.
pleasure match.
So I'm just gonna have to go with what's it? Tomohiro Ishii versus Tamaki Hama.
Which one?
The G1 what's it? One of the G1 climax matches. Like, because Hama was having a losing streak throughout the whole tournament, and on the final day he finally gets a win, and it was also a great. It was just a hitting match. Hama got the win, and everyone was just.
Broku
cheering
is
for him.
very much a fan of more gritty matches.
I mean, not too gritty. I can't do ultra violence.
Well, no, I didn't. I said gritty. I didn't say hardcore.
Oh, gritty. Well, because define what you feel is gritty.
Gritty to me is like, for example, the Fry Takayama spot. Any match where you have two guys who want to beat the crap out of each other with their fists.
So a hard-hitting match.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be
Kinda
technical. It like a brawl.
Would you put shoot into that category? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Like very shootish.
Okay, that makes sense. So, I'm assuming you're a big fan of Suzuki then.
Suzuki Ganichiban. But holy shit.
Yeah, that's right. I know the players now.
Yeah, because
I'm deep in there
Well,
now.
Suzuki is more than
fine.
just a wrestler, though.
yeah, he's an MMA legend, pioneer.
Yeah.
He created Pancrase.
But a lot of his style comes from like his days back in wrestling and through MMA stuff, and it shows.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, what I look for is like the impact of a strike. That's my favorite part of a wrestling match.
Okay, now let me go to, and this might be obvious for like all of us or in general. What about a match that that sticks out your head that you despise? Like one that it's like, oh, that's absolute garbage. Shouldn't be wrestling.
Lately, I've just comedic matches. I don't mind flippy matches. Because in
Stefan doesn't like he doesn't like Will
don't
Ospreay.
mind. I don't mind.
So you're not a
Because
fan of-
ever since he beat Kushida.
You're not a fan of Spot
because-
Fest?
Like they did a 2-year build to him beating Kushida for the title, and I'm just like, you know what, this is a decent build-up.
Okay, so you weren't a fan of the Ricochet and Will Ospreay match that got all that controversy?
Definitely not, but I tried to understand the psychology of it, and what I came up with was like, maybe they're doing like this test of agility. Maybe they're, you know, like, can you keep up with me or something like that.
Oh, so it's fair to say that.
I tried to find the purpose behind all those flips rather than just, you know, write it off. I mean, I don't like it, but still, they must serve a purpose or something.
So you look. So if, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I assume all of this wrong, you look for a match that has a sort of realness to it that you could really like get a hold of, and you could see in the ring that, oh wow, these guys really do hate each other, and like you like that idea of like, okay, I can believably understand like the tension and aggression and the anger that's being felt in this ring right now, and I can visibly see it in their faces, how they're emoting, how they're beating the crap out of each other. You like a match that has a lot of meat to it, a match that has
sometimes, but of course,
realistic
I watch
tension.
So I don't even know.
Well,
I'm
that
still
sounds
trying
like
to
it
figure out.
because Jake says you're a fan of gritty action.
I think he just likes watching people beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
I think it's nothing more than that. It's just a guilty pleasure. You know,
So let me say this then.
I will put it in the best way possible, and Stefan, you just say yes or no if this is true. Stefan likes matches that are heavy hitting like that because it's all the action of MMA, but it's none of the bullshit endings. Like, for example, an MMA
I get what
match
you mean.
can end in 10 seconds or it can end in 15 minutes on like some stupid pointing system. No offense to MMA fans, you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
instead of watching like somebody win by points or somebody make somebody else tap out in 15 seconds, he would rather watch two guys beat the shit out of each other for 20 plus minutes and then end with some exciting finish.
Yes.
No, that makes sense. Like, you want MMA with a little bit of kayfabe. That makes sense.
Basically, Stefan is a very big fan of strong style.
That makes sense. Because I was gonna say like
whatever you.
Because I was gonna say like if you like so let's just say that like would Stefan be a fan of a hardcore hitting ECW match?
Depends. Well, if it has Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka.
Okay, so what if it was
just incredible?
Fuck no.
Good answer. What if it was Sandman?
I could see a Sandman match being like that, where he's just literally, it looks like he's actually beating the shit out of you, because he probably could actually be being... I mean, that could also be said about New Jack, but then again, it's like, do you want to watch a man murder...
New Jack.
But do you want to watch a man murder someone, possibly?
Probably not, because I cringed when I watched like a match between Dusty Rhodes versus Steve Corino.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Steve Corino one is a good a good example of that.
Not at the back cringe, more like holy shit, I don't know if I can handle this.
That match, what is it? The Texas Bull Rope match.
Yeah. The one
that one was fun as hell.
Yeah. That's one of your go-to favorites.
Well, anything late ECW where Steve Corino was in the title picture. Because to me, Steve Corino was kind of like CM Punk before CM Punk. And not so much the straight edge character, but the whole, disrespectful, blonde hair, I don't give a fuck, I'm on the mic, you listen to me.
I kind of feel like that...
And...
Because I want to say franchise kind of came off like that.
Well, but you also have to remember that Steve Corino was a big part of CM Punk while CM Punk was still coming up.
I know what you mean, but when you describe it like that, it's like, the go-to that you would want is Steve Corino, because Steve Corino is better than the franchise Shane Douglas. But when you say that, it's like you could also draw that comparison to kind of Shane Douglas. Yeah,
but Shane Douglas is more like a WWE wrestler, and whereas Steve Corino is more of an indie wrestler.
See,
and it's that difference.
See, I don't see Shane Douglas like that at all, because the fact that, like, yes, he did have his first real stint in the business was, with WWE, with his teacher gimmick. But he really made a name for himself in ECW. Like, when you think of Shane Douglas, you don't really think of WWE. You think of the franchise Shane Douglas ECW.
But do you remember him for any hardcore matches?
No.
There you go.
I mean, I also will immediately say I haven't really watched a lot of the franchise Shane Douglas matches. I'm not really a big fan of franchise Shane Douglas.
I associate him with WCW, actually.
I mean, I think the only match that I've seen with Shane Douglas was match with Too Cold Scorpio, and that was when he threw the title down. I think that's the only Shane Douglas match I've ever watched. There might have been another one, but that's the only one I could think of that comes to mind.
I remember a match that would stand the test of time. Jushin Thunder Liger versus Brian Pillman.
Well, that's like, if you really want to watch something big, you have to watch The Night the Line Was Crossed.
Which is...
The line was crossed?
It's the match that made ECW.
Just say it. Don't be vague about it.
No. It's a time limit draw. Terry Funk versus Sabu versus Shane Douglas.
So right there's a Shane Douglas type of affair there. I remember that one.
It went to a time limit draw. It was 94, and it was like the match that kind of made everybody look at ECW and be like, "Holy shit!"
All right, so now since we're at Jake, so Jake, let's go to you because I know that you have kind of a past where you got in a little bit late. So tell us about how you first got into wrestling. How you got into wrestling, born and raised in it.
I was living on an island for 9 years. Well, I had always been interested in wrestling as a kid, and the first match I ever really remember watching was a gravy in a swimming kiddie pool match, and like, Miss Kitty was the referee, and she fell, and they had to do the Heimlich on her because she got a mushroom stuck in her throat. And I remember watching that in my parents' room, and then my mom's like, "The fuck are you watching?" And then she turned it off.
Was that the first thing you ever watched?
That was. It was
terrible.
It was a Thanksgiving match. That was my introduction to the Attitude Era. So I mean, there you go.
Yeah,
my introduction to the Attitude Era was the shit.
Makes sense. That makes sense, unfortunately.
But anyway, I eventually did get back into wrestling in middle school because I had so many friends who watched it. However, they all watched SmackDown, and because they were poor and didn't have cable.
Yep. I was in that.
I'll always say this, but SmackDown was for the poor kids.
Yeah, no, thank God for you.
No offense.
Thank God for UPN 9 for us New Yorkers. Like that was because I was in the same boat because I for some reason didn't have cable for like a little bit of time, so UPN 9 was my savior.
But yeah, so I had started watching Raw on Spike TV. And the first real big match that I watched was Randy Orton versus Rob Van Dam for the Intercontinental title, and it ended with the first ever spiked DDT, off the ropes.
Oh, nice!
And that's the first time he had ever done it, and it was beautiful. And then after that, I started watching more and more, and it was like before the Royal Rumble, or rather. It may have been right after the Royal Rumble because Benoit had moved over to the Raw. So I had kind of entered in at the end of the whole Shawn Michaels versus Triple H feud.
Which was a really good, yeah.
So then, I became a huge fan of Benoit, which obviously, Benoit was one of my first big favorite wrestlers. But obviously, he's a murderer. So, it's not something I exactly like to talk about. But I also really liked Bubba Ray Dudley, and I liked Rob Van Dam, and I liked Randy Orton. I remember the hardcore match between Orton and Mick Foley where he RKO'd himself onto a bed of thumbtacks.
Oh, that's such a good match. Such a good match from Backlash 2004, I believe. Maybe 3.
I remember the Iron Man match between Benoit and Triple H. I remember when Eugene was the #1 contender. I mean, we talk about it a lot. There was a lot of good stuff.
Ruthless Aggression had some really good shit.
But then they had fucking Eugene, who was just an autistic kid who emulated his favorite wrestlers from the 80s.
Yeah, but he teamed with Regal, and that was just...
He did team with Regal. That puts him in boy status for
Regal
me.
And Eugene. The way Regal stood up for Eugene, that was just...
But then again, Regal kind of teamed up with everyone, kind of. He was one of those guys that just went from tag team to tag team.
So, then I became a fan of John Cena, because John Cena jumped over to Monday Night Raw. So I was a big fan of Cena for a few years, and then...
So you predominantly watched Raw and not SmackDown, is what I'm understanding?
Yes. Okay. I watched some SmackDown every once in a while. Like, someone would be like, oh, man. Like, I remember watching John Cena versus Carlito after he had gotten back from when he got stabbed in the kidney by Jesus. That was another great storyline. Carlito had the fucking bodyguard, Jesus, who stabbed John Cena in the kidney at a fucking nightclub. Meanwhile, that was just the reason why he was going to film The Marine.
That's so good.
Kurt Angle, when he was the Wrestling Machine. I loved watching Eddie Guerrero.
I'm surprised you didn't put but I think that was probably after, because I'm surprised you didn't put Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle matches in that. But I think, like I said, I think that was like after.
Yeah, it was.
2003. Yeah.
But then I remember borrowing, I think it was Shut Your Mouth from a friend of mine. And I played that for a long time. I loved playing Shut Your Mouth. It may have been Shut Your Mouth. It may have been Just Bring It.
Yeah, it's either. I mean, if it's PS2, it's either Shut Your Mouth or Just Bring It.
I think it was the one with Brock on it.
That's Shut Your Mouth.
Okay, yeah, that was definitely Shut Your Mouth. And then I played 06 and 07 and 08.
SmackDown versus Raws, yeah.
But so, like, I kind of stopped after Jericho had come back the second time. Like,
Is that after he got thrown in a trash truck?
So, like, when I was watching, like, there was the whole Cena versus Edge versus RVD. So, and by the way, go back and actually look at that 3-man feud of Cena, RVD, and Edge. That was a really good long feud.
No, yeah. They killed it.
But still there's that, and then I watched ECW, which was shit, but it had CM Punk, and CM Punk was this cool guy with tattoos that I liked. So I watched that.
Wait, and then, you weren't a fan of Nacho Libre?
Oh, I saw that movie in theaters. That movie sucked.
Everything twice. Say everything twice.
I remember when CM Punk slapped the shit out of Shannon Moore's, because Shannon Moore had that stupid like social outcast gimmick where he's like, I'm the Prince of Punk. And then like CM Punk was like, no, you're a fucking poser, and slapped the shit out of him. That was funny. But so there's that, and then I kind of fell out of love for a while. Then I came back for a bit. Then I fell out of love again, and then I started watching, like, I want to say 2012.
Well, let's go back. Like, what made you kind of fall out of love?
I just kind of stopped watching it. Yeah, I got burnt out.
That makes sense.
And then I got back in for a little bit. But it was also frustrating because I didn't watch the pay-per-views because, one, my parents didn't really like me watching wrestling, and two, because they were fucking expensive and it was so dumb. Yeah. So
luckily,
I would miss a lot
for
of
us, we had like that cable box that for some reason was still giving us the pay-per-view, so I was lucky enough to have some.
I was unfortunate with that, but I mean, that was probably one of the big reasons why I stopped watching wrestling, was because I got so frustrated with the fact that I couldn't watch the pay-per-views, and I would miss all these huge important matches.
Okay, so you're mostly a Raw guy, and what made you? Because I know you've gone on and off, but what made you come back in general and just say, all right, fuck it, I'm in it for the long haul now, despite any bullshit that's shoved down my throat? What's making me a wrestling fan from now until, let's say, hopefully forever?
Well, it was Dolph Ziggler.
Really?
It was the Dolph Ziggler Alberto Del Rio feud. I had seen things about it while I was like sitting at work, and like I saw something on Bleacher Report about it, and I'd heard that it was really interesting and it was really cool, and how, I mean, that's another really cool match was when they did the double turn there, where Carlito, where Alberto Del Rio kept on kicking him in the head, and you heard AJ screaming. It was really, it had like a real feel to it.
That's right. You were a big fan of fucking the Dolph Ziggler that had Biggie and AJ in his corner.
Yeah,
Click. Yeah, that's right. Biggie. That's
Not
where
the
I got
Click,
back
my
into
bad. The entourage, if you will. That was really, I really like that like little tag team stable. But then I started gravitating back towards Punk and Daniel Bryan, and I started looking into them. Then I started watching the indies, and I found this cool guy, Kevin Steen.
I was just going to go into that. So what made you... Because I know that right now, like... so you started out as a WWE guys. I want to say most people kind of do. I want to nail that home. But then, I guess, what made you transition? Because, I'll say it right off now. You and Broku are very... Like, you watch WWE, but very passively. You're more really into...
Yeah.
I want to say mostly New Japan. There's a little bit of ROH there.
I like...
But also it branches off to...
I like a lot of ROH.
New Japan.
Well, one of my things... I like the story of ROH. I like how so many of the wrestlers you see today came from there. And, like, how, you know, they really made... They were, like, kind of the bridge between the independents and WWE in a lot of cases. Kevin Steen, or Kevin Owens, if you will, was one of the big reasons why I decided to start watching more independents. And it wasn't even his
But
Ring
what
of
made
Honor
you
stuff.
turn your eye to it was. But what made you turn your eye to it was looking more into CM Punk
Yeah.
and Daniel Bryan. Okay.
But really, if anything, my favorite promotion isn't even Ring of Honor. It's Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, which is, for people that don't know, it's wrestlers. It's a wrestling federation, a wrestling promotion run by wrestlers, written by wrestlers, by the wrestlers, and it's just wrestlers having fun. You know, they just do whatever the fuck they want. You know, there's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of action, everybody does whatever they want, and it's made a lot of wrestlers big. Like Adam Cole, you know, he's like the new Shawn Michaels, if you will, but he wouldn't have been there if it wasn't for his 2012 title reign in PWG, where he became this Shawn Michaels-esque kind of character.
It's weird to say, because I want to say, would you equate PWG as like the ECW of today, where it's like you kind of start to mold who you are as like a talent, and then move on to the more, you know, predominantly, because I don't want to throw shade on PWG, but I want to say more people would turn to New Japan or ROH before they would turn to like PWG. So would you say like PWG is kind of the ECW of today, where it's like they mold you, like that's where you're molded?
If you're talking about somebody molding, and you know, that's more Dragon Gate, if anything, like Dragon Gate or Evolve. They're the kind of like the stepping stone now to WWE.
Because Dragon Gate.
I guess, yeah. You kind of forget that there's so many like indie wrestling promotions. It's almost like territory level at this point. So once you go down that indie hole, you kind of just start to maneuver around each promotion, I guess.
It's right about Dragon Gate.
PWG is more like the all-star game, if you will. It's like where you take the best guys, you know, the number one guys on every fucking team, and you gather them all together and let them just have fun. That's what PWG is.
I mean, my only exposure to PWG honestly has been like just Botchamania clips, but I can tell that there's like a very easy flow to it. Like there's not really any hassle. Like they're just really there to have fun. There's
if you want to, I have the entire Adam Cole Reign of Terror. I can show you that shit. It is glorious. Yes,
I'd be willing to give it a shot. I mean, right now it's getting into
it's a lot though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like right now for me, it's like I'm my 2018 resolution is getting into New Japan, which I have been doing very nicely. So hold off on that. I'm intrigued, I'll say.
But yeah, if you're when it comes to like professional wrestling, if you were to ask me, you know, what matches really stick out to me?
Yeah, name a few.
Cena Punk at Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
If not just because it's probably one of their best matches, it's the feel of Punk walking into Chicago, everything like the electricity of the situation, it's clobbering time, just everything that goes into that before the match even starts just really sets the stage.
Okay. Now, what about, like, I'll throw a curveball here. What about a match that you like fondly that many people would not know of?
Oh, I was gonna say, in the Battle of Los Angeles tournament, PWG 2012, Ricochet versus Kevin Steen.
Okay.
It's just a real fun match where it's just Ricochet doing his thing, Kevin Owens being Kevin Steen. It's very it's nothing special in the sense of like there's nothing really riding on it per se, other than the winner goes on to the next round of the tournament. But it's just a real fun match to watch. All the moves that they pull off, all the things that they do, the announcing. It's just really interesting and fun. Now,
I want to bring it to this point as well because I know we've had these conversations. So I know you personally kind of, because you're a big sports fan. Broku I don't think is a sports fan, and honestly neither am I. But you're a big sports fan. You like hockey and stuff like that. And I know and I know a lot of your appeal for wrestling is you don't really watch it as frequently as like some other people would. You'd probably like watch something if it has I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but maybe some hype around it, of like some interest that's like, okay, I'll go check that out. But I want to say
Yeah.
you're really, in terms of wrestling, you're into the information, news, backstage politics of it, like kind of the sportsy kind of feel of like the goings on and the building of the ladder. I feel is a lot of the appeal
Yeah.
you have for it nowadays.
I like reading the dirt sheets.
Yeah. You like the facts.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I appreciate Meltzer a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people, when they look at Meltzer, they're like, "Oh, well, he's just one guy. Oh, don't take everything he says as law."
That's what I was gonna say. Because when you said the Money in the Bank, CM Punk and John Cena, I immediately went to, I wonder if that's because of the Meltzer rate.
It's not. It really. It's not so much the Meltzer rating, because to be completely honest, the match is okay. But it's not just about the match. It's the whole. Once again, it goes back to CM Punk in his hometown, fighting, and what was riding on the match. Meaning, if he wins, he's leaving the company as champion, bar none. He's not going to get fucked out of it like Bret Hart. Because that was one of the things at the end of the match was they were going to go for a whole Montreal Screwjob thing. And of course, Cena gets in the way.
So he didn't have the title.
Yeah, exactly. So really, it's the story around that, and that's one of the few situations where I think this, the story, it's one of the best examples of where the story really improves the match itself. Because I think in most cases it's the match that makes the story, and not the story that makes the match. But in that case, the story did.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like you like to see. You're not so much the guy that likes to see all the build up and the vignettes and stuff like that. You like to see the culmination of everything that's transpired in the ring. That makes
Exactly.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. You can have the best story in the world, but if it's a shitty match, you're gonna remember it for that.
Right. Which happens a lot.
But if you have a mediocre story and the match is fucking great, you're gonna be like, "Oh shit, you remember that?"
What? Because I'm not sure with you. Because sometimes I feel like you tune into wrestling when something intriguing is happening. Like, do you catch up with any type of promotion on like a occurring basis, or do you just wait for like a dirt sheet to tell you when something interesting's happening?
I follow wrestlers. So like if I see like there are certain wrestlers that really pique my interest. There's a lot of wrestlers that I really enjoy. So like if something happens with them, I'll look into what's happening with them. Like for example, there are a bunch of wrestlers that I really appreciate. Like my favorite wrestlers right now are Will Ospreay, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Kevin Owens. A lot of people like that. When Trevor Lee was on the top of his game, I followed Trevor Lee very heavily. But I mean, he's fallen off exponentially since his rookie year.
So let's just say Kevin Owens was booked for a 6-man main event on SmackDown. Would you just go to watch that, or would you wait for a Kevin Owens match that had a little bit more meat to it, that had a little bit more importance?
If I heard that Kevin Owens was doing a thing with somebody and that he was really throwing some heat in there, I would watch that. If I just hear Kevin Owens is in a 6-man tag that doesn't fucking matter, I'm not going to watch that. Because, yes, he's in there, but he's not going to get a lot of time, and it's not really going to matter to his overall story.
Alright, that makes sense. And so, as like a wrestler, you kind of watched a little bit, but now, like in the days now, you kind of watch when there's a little bit of heat and spice to it.
I'm all about the lore.
Yeah, that way, yeah, exactly. All about the lore.
But you know that. I love lore.
Yeah, no. You're a lot of I like this and that, and you like to like look into it like with words and like read up on things and stuff like that. You're not really about visually like watching everything that a certain wrestler does.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So to finish up, favorite storylines of all time. Eddie Guerrero versus JBL feud. The initial title run, the Reign of Terror of Adam Cole and PWG from when Bola happened all the way to Soldier Rock and Roll, and Mount Rushmore. So there's that. There's Eddie. There's the Kevin Owens versus Sammy. Was it Kevin Steen versus El Generico, and then his eventual comeback and winning the championship in Ring of Honor. Daniel Bryan winning the title. Just stuff like that.
Alright, that makes sense.
The 434 is up there, and Okada's current title run plus Naito right now is also probably one of the.
It is coming from just now getting into it and kind of watching a little bits of I did watch before I watched the Okada versus Naito video. Watched a little forget what the YouTuber was, but he basically did like a whole retrospective of Naito from where he was back then to where he is now. And then I watched the match. It's like I can honestly understand the appeal of Naito versus Okada.
Naito is Reigns done right.
Yeah. No, Naito is great. Like as soon as I see it's like, wow, this is a man that has redeemed himself to the fullest and is now on the backs of all his fans that he wanted so long ago.
They forced his push. They realized they forced it. They let him rebuild himself. He came back. He gained the fans that he never had. He kept that spite he had from that initial push.
Yeah.
And that also made him popular. And now look at him.
It's just a really
what she deserves.
It's just a really good comeback story.
Not even over. His story's not even over because he has a lot of motivation left.
It's New Japan is very good at building a slow burn.
Yeah. So I guess that would mean that based on all three of us, I guess I have the most way back with wrestling because I was in it from, I want to say probably I started, because I can't really remember like the first instance that I actually watched wrestling. I think my dad was a big fan of wrestling and I just kind of became a fan like with him when he was watching like Raw in WCW. Or I think he was watching Raw, and then I got interested, and then remembered the WCW was a thing and stuff like that. So I was back in, I want to say I started in 1997. One of the things that made me a huge fan of it was I was a stupid kid that liked, basically, if you looked really cool, I was a fan of you. So, of course...
Kane.
Yes. So, basically, the thing that made me a wrestling fan was Kane. I fucking loved the mask. I loved the chokeslam. I loved the fire. I fucking loved Kane. Kane is the reason why I'm a wrestling fan, because I fucking loved him. And then WCW, and my mom actually had to remind me because I completely forget. I was also a fan of Sting. Why would I be a fan of Sting? I don't know, because he had a baseball bat and he had cool face makeup and he was just a fucking crow. So I was also a fan of Sting.
The best movie, Crow.
I apparently there's like photos that we found because we had to move over my grandma's place. There's actually a photo of me dressed as Sting for Halloween. So, and I remember like way back, like my cousin Taylor, who's still a fan of wrestling, was also a fan of wrestling, and we watched and stuff like that. And we went to like
broke my arm.
Well, because my cousin Taylor is a fan of RVD, and she was doing the Rolling Thunder, and that's how my wrist got broken. And I was a big fan of so I was basically a WWE guy. I'm now starting to kind of look into other places, but I was primarily WWE and a little bit of WCW. Some of the things that stand out in my mind way back is one of the first pay-per-views that I can remember that I watched was No Mercy. I want to say 2000.
Who was in it?
It was the Hell in a Cell between Mick Foley and Triple H, and it was the supposed retirement match for Mick Foley, which was not the case.
Was that was No Mercy the one? I thought I might be thinking of Backlash.
It wasn't Backlash.
Backlash, the one that's after WrestleMania?
Yes. But Backlash didn't start until like 2002.
It was No Way Out 2000.
That's what it is. It was either No Mercy or No Way Out. Yeah, so
Because I think No Mercy 2000 was the Iron Man match between The Rock and Triple H.
yeah. No, because No Mercy, No Way Out, they kind of sound similar to me, so... No, it was No Way Out 2000 was one of the papers that stand out in my mind. It was the match between Mick Foley and Triple H. Mick Foley and Triple H being two wrestlers that I really like. And I will go out and say I'm one of the only guys that actually liked Triple H's Ruthless Aggression run was it Ruthless Aggression then?
Still Attitude.
Yeah, that was still kind of Attitude Era.
Attitude Era was 2002 onwards. I mean, Ruthless Aggression was 2002 onwards.
Yeah, around the time John Cena did.
Aggression started when John Cena said Ruthless Aggression to Kurt Angle.
No, wait, okay. So let me backtrack that. So it was during Triple H's World Heavyweight title dominance. No, it wasn't, because Chris Benoit was the one to break that. Okay, it was Ruthless Aggression Triple H when he had the World Heavyweight title, which goes into
Evolution.
Yeah, basically. So Attitude Era and WCW way back, I just remember small tidbits. I watched it, but being a stupid kid that throws a bunch of shit out of his mind, I barely remember a lot of stuff, but a lot of things that come to mind is I was a fan of Mankind, I was a fan of Kane, I was a fan of Triple H, I don't know if I was a fan of The Undertaker. Probably not. But yeah, that was all that stuff, and then I really started to remember, like, I really liked stuff when I was going into, like you guys, Ruthless Aggression. That's when I really started to really become, like, the wrestling fan I kind of am now, where I was following one of my personal favorite storylines. And this differs from Jake and Broku, where I like the build up to matches. I like to watch the vignettes, the edited segments, all that stuff. I like to follow all that stuff. I like to follow a wrestler from the beginning to end and not miss anything that's happened.
I just want to point out that I think that separates us from a lot of pay-per-views, because when you think, well, not pay-per-views, but podcasts in a way, because when you think about most people that run podcasts, they're always like, oh man, I used to watch during the Attitude Era. I remember the Monday Night Wars, blah, blah, blah. Let me suck dick, blah, blah, blah. No offense. But, you know, a lot of it is this whole idea that a lot of people like to circle jerk.
Yeah.
And say that is the best time of wrestling.
I will not lie. I've gone, like, thanks to the WWE Network, thank you, Jake. I go back and I watch wrestling. Like I said, I've been watching all of Goldust stuff, and I'm not gonna say that the Attitude Era didn't have anything good. Like I said, it had Kane. It made Kane what I love.
And I 100% agree.
But for the majority of the Attitude Era was Russo shite.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I think that's what separates us from a lot of podcasts is we're generally not, you know, we're not Attitude Era like fanboys. We're Ruthless Aggression fanboys, and I think
there's a lot of like the Solomon Sounds Off talks a lot about the generation even before the Attitude Era with Owen Hart and Hulkamania.
I think that was called like the New Stars era, and it didn't last that long.
Well, yeah, there was the rise of Hulkamania, and it all followed suit then. And there's good stuff there too. There's, I went back to watch Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. No, Owen Hart in the steel cage match at SummerSlam. Yes, it was at SummerSlam. It was the one where Undertaker was fighting Fake Taker. Like, there's good stuff there, but I mean, you also have to remember there's a, you know, age divide there too, where it's like, we kind of started to have brains that understood things around, like, I want to say 1999 and upward, you know?
Yeah. So...
And we kind of watched the Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah, so I'm looking at it, and yeah, it's called the New Generation Era, right before the Attitude Era.
Yeah, that makes sense. The New Generation, because Hulkamania. Well, no, there was Hulkamania and then New Generation. Yeah.
Well, that's why it's called the New Generation, because
because Bret Hart was the new face and he was younger, and yeah. They won.
And Hulk Hogan went over to WCW after he failed on the show. Fuck, what was the name of his show? Something Thunder.
Tropic Thunder.
I didn't want to say Tropic Thunder because that's a movie, but okay.
No, Thunder in Paradise.
There you go.
Thunder in Paradise with the Booty Man, a.k.a. Brutus the Barber Beefcake, a.k.a. the Zodiac, a.k.a. all the other fucking aliases that Ed Leslie had. So yeah, I was a big fan of the storyline build-up and stuff like that. One of my favorite ones to this day is the storyline build-up, the slow burn, which I loved, between Batista and Triple H with the Evolution things, all culminating at WrestleMania 21, which, in my opinion, is still my personal favorite WrestleMania of all time. And that was
which one?
Of WrestleMania 21.
Okay. I thought to me you seem like a 17 or an 18 guy.
Nah, it's 21, man. I was all in for Batista and Triple H. I remember even after that I watched their rematch at Backlash. My cousin Sean had we watched downstairs Vengeance, their Hell in a Cell match, which was fucking great. Like the matches that those guys had were great. They still hold up. I watched them recently. Like that was the run that made me yeah, this is fucking wrestling. I fucking love it. I was a fan of the Hardy Boys because edgy. Ooh, they got fucking cool flips and shit, and Matt Hardy looks like a cool guy that shops at Hot Topic, don't he? And I was a fan of them. I was a fan of the Great Party before he was cool.
The Grape.
And then I abandoned him, and then I came, and then I abandoned him, and I came back. It's like, he's cool, guys. I was with him. I never forgot.
He strongly dislikes mustard.
Strongly. I'm a very big fan, and I want to say it's kind of hipsterish, but I just kind of it's what appeals to me. I like the lower to mid-card guys more so than top guys. That's not to say that I hate top guys. There's a bunch of top guys that I like, but I was always a fan of lower mid-card guys. So I was a big fan of Scotty 2 Hottie.
Turn it up.
Shelton Benjamin is one of my favorites. I was actually
Ain't no stopping me now.
I was actually watching one of the old vignettes where when he was Intercontinental Champion and Trish Stratus had a broken nose and he came into the locker room for the beginning of Raw, and Vince McMahon's like, "Oh no, Shelton, this isn't right. See, you're an African American, and everyone knows that African American like Canadian white women with broken noses. This can't go." And I was also a SmackDown guy because I had that Poverty 11 and I watched UPN. I was there for the rise of the Mexicools. It was really Ruthless Aggression that really stands out with stuff that I was liking, because I remember the Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio stuff.
I'm your papi, Dominic.
I remember one of the highlight Raws that I remember is when they had that Gold Rush Intercontinental Tournament, which was a fucking amazing title tournament.
Was that when Brian Kendrick was the current WWE champion for 2 minutes? Or was that the championship scramble?
No, that was because this was Raw. Brian Kendrick was SmackDown all the way then. No, that was it was I forget why there was a tournament for the Intercontinental title, but I remember it had I think that was when I think around that tournament was when Shelton Benjamin had gotten a win off of Triple H during a Raw, and Triple H will now say that, well, I jobbed out for Shelton. I was a fan of Heidenreich and his disaster pieces on SmackDown. I was a fan of all the kooky shit, but I was also a fan of the compelling
Heidenreich?
Yeah,
one of the greatest moments of all time.
Where he just abducts kids from the crowd. It's like, you're my new friend.
Oh, I was talking about when he raped.
Yeah, when he raped Michael Cole
in the shower.
Yeah.
One of the greatest moments in history.
I was thinking of Kurt Angle assaulting Charmel. I don't know where that came from.
A bunch of matches that stand out as one of my favorites. This is from, because now I'm a fan of Goldust. Which, by the way, Goldust was also one of my boys in the Ruthless Aggression Era with his fucking seizure skit with Evolution when he got electrocuted and he just
WrestleMania!
And deep down there in the cockles of your heart. I was also a big fan of Tadgers. One of my favorite Raw general managers, and still one of my favorites to this day. My boy, William fucking Regal, who made every goddamn tag... He did say that to me. Who made every goddamn tag team he was a part of cool, to me. He had a lot of gold with tag teams. He was a tag team champion with Eugene. He's tag team champions with Tadgers. He was with other people too, but I forget their names.
King's Court, Booker T and Finley. Great faction.
He was a part of King's Court. He was a tag team with that Russian too.
Kozlov, I think.
Yeah. He was a tag team with Kozlov too. But William Regal was one of my boys. I'm trying to, because I also watched some WCW. I'm trying to remember WCW stuff, because it was definitely I was watching during 2000 WCW, and I think one of the things that stood out when I was watching WCW was it involved Sid Vicious with someone. And I remember saying, oh man, Sid Vicious is cool looking.
Oh, were you wrong?
Because he was just... a word alive, pal. After the Ruthless Aggression and after Triple H and Batista was kind of getting still, I kind of took a break from wrestling. I sporadically came back every now and again. Like, I came back and I remember, like, when Crime Time was a thing, when the Spirit Squad was doing stuff with D-Generation X.
Oh, Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. I remember, yeah, I think that's the only thing I remember, Dolph Ziggler. I remember some things about a certain Guerrero turning white and having a certain Ziggler as a caddy. Kerwin White. Love him. And then I took And then I took another hiatus. And then I think I came back... Because I would watch on and off. I want to say maybe it was before this, but I think it was around the time when Nexus was happening.
What about the Nexus?
I think that... Because I was on and off, so I think I came back and I stayed put when Nexus was happening.
Probably because you like Wade Barrett so much.
I fucking love Wade Barrett. He's my boy.
The Bullhammer.
The Bullhammer. You're the Nexus or you're against us. So that's where I permanently stayed as a wrestling fan, and here I am now. Not gonna lie, I've been a big WWE man. I'm starting to waver a little bit, which is why I decided to look into New Japan. Holy shit. I understand now.
Do you understand now?
Yes, I do. Because
Yes.
holy shit, never did I think that there would ever be a 6-hour show that would keep my interest all the way through. Never did I ever think that. But my god, every match there was great.
Wait, even the Rumble? No way.
Yeah, I watched the Rumble, man. I loved it because because it was also a new experience for me. So I was picking out guys that I love. So I found 2 new boys there. I found the boy that I dubbed Sharktista because he's just a big
Kitamura.
Yeah, he's just a big Roidy Magoots.
Yeah,
Sharktista.
I think he's going to Mexico at Ring of Honor this year.
And there's also Juicy Gambino.
Not Juice Robinson. Oh, Juice, the recent member.
Yeah, the Juice.
Juicy Gambino, recent member of Bullet Club.
Juicy Gambino.
Bullet Club Australia or something.
There. So I am now putting into my diet New Japan Pro Wrestling. I try to, at the very least, skim through Raw, SmackDown. I will say that predominantly right now I'm a fan of 205 Live.
Ew.
Well,
Really?
Here's the thing. Drew Gulak, every time that he ever does a promo there with his PowerPoint presentation is great. There are actually really good matches. I mean, right now it's the Enzo show right now, but when fucking Cedric Alexander's up, when Jack Gallagher's on the bat, when fucking, if he ever returns, fucking wife, domestic dispute.
Rick Swan.
Rich Swan is
All night long.
Yeah, when 205 Live is happening and there's actually good competitors in the ring to do some shit, it's actually very entertaining.
What's coming soon?
I'm a big fan of NXT. NXT is what brought me really back during when I was like, oh man, I really want to stop. But NXT brought me back. I was watching around when Kevin Owens was coming in and he did his feud with Sami Zayn. Yeah, I've basically been wrestling it up. Some of my favorite matches that stand out for me that people may not know is when I was rewatching all of Goldust's matches. The Goldust match between him
Roddy
and Val
Piper?
Venus. No, Val Venus. That's just a brawl. That is his WrestleMania moment, honestly. But it was Val Venus versus Goldust at Judgment Day 1999 or 98. No, I think it was 99. No, I think it was 98. Because 99 to 2000 went to WCW. Regardless, it's a Judgment Day that has Goldust versus Val Venus. Which made me realize, my god, Val Venus is a boy. Because that man could fucking work. That man was not just his gimmick. He made himself become a commodity because he was a fucking worker.
Judgment Day 98.
98, that's what it was. I was trying to think it was 99, 98. No, he was on the downswing in 99.
I just want to say that I agree with you about Val Venus's work ethic, especially near the end of his WWE career, because actually, CM Punk's his tryout match, his jobber match was against Val Venus.
Really? That's a hell of a man to go with. Yeah, Val Venus can fucking go, man. I mean, he had great promos. I mean, he worked that porn star gimmick up very great. Like, his openings for every show where he's like, so it looks like we're in the show me state. I mean, but he really made it, last with his in-ring work, for sure. But you can win me over with having a great gimmick and being able to work that gimmick. One of the best examples of this, and he's a good worker, I want to say too, is Damien Sandow, who
Excuse me?
made
Who?
Because
Who?
Damien Sandow. He went by Damien Sandow, but now he goes by Aaron Rex, or
There
whatever
you
the
go.
fuck he goes by, because he's not even
Aaron
wrestling
Rex.
anymore.
Yeah.
No, because honestly, he doesn't even wrestle anymore, so I could call him whatever the fuck I want, Jake. Damien Sandow is a good example of a guy that I fell in love with because I loved the gimmick, I loved the idea, I understood the intellectual savior of the masses.
My favorite Damien Sandow character was either when he was Abraham Lincoln or Paul Revere.
What about Magneto?
Magneto was also really good.
Introducing the power of magnetism.
Also, he was Bruce Springsteen.
Yes. He was also Vince McMahon. He's also a basketball player too. I forget which one. I think maybe Shaq?
I got questions for you guys.
Shoot him away.
Ready? 1. Who's your favorite wrestler right now?
The first person that comes to my head is Elias.
Is he your favorite?
At the moment, yes, because he is slow. He's been slowly winning me over. I finally am getting behind the gimmick. I'm entertained by the gimmick. He's old school powerhouse in the ring, from sidewalk slams to all that stuff, which I can appreciate. So yeah, at the moment, I want to say right now he's my standout favorite at the moment.
Broku.
Tomohiro Ishii.
Who's your least favorite wrestler right now?
Ugh, that should be so easy.
Alexa Bliss.
Enzo Amore.
Liv Morgan.
Who?
She's like fake Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. She does flippy shit for no fucking reason. And she's annoying. And I hope Sarah Logan gets away from
Who do
that
you
Riot Squad faction and
Oh my god. I very much dislike everybody in Riot Squad except Sarah Logan.
Yeah. Ruby Riot's fine.
She's okay, but she's not interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you look at her face, it's like you got the witch nose and you look like Marilyn Manson. What else you got?
Well, it's not just that. I just think she's boring.
She's yeah. I mean, once again, we also live in. I mean, at the same time, it's like I never understood the appeal of Becky Lynch.
I don't too. She's a steampunk minion. I like what's her name? Nikki Storm. Or
Why am I blanking?
Nikki Cross.
Oh yeah,
The chick from Antifa.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah. She's cool. She's cool.
I really like Kyle O'Reilly.
Of course you do.
I like Okada. I like Naito. I love Tanahashi. One day we'll get a Cena. One day we'll get a Cena-Hashi match. One day we'll get that Cena-Hashi
Now here's the thing,
match.
and maybe there's a legacy that I'm missing with Okada. I feel like he's great to like. I don't know. I don't really like the Rainmaker. I understand it, but it's like
We had to watch his entire body of work.
That's what I mean. I feel like. I mean, I watched 2 of his greatest matches. It feels like. I mean, I watched his Kenny Omega thing. I watched the Kenny Omega one. I watched the Naito one. Aren't those 2 really good?
No. The Kenny Omega one's good. You have to watch his 60-minute time limit match in the second Kenny Omega
Here's
match.
the thing, though.
That one is better.
I will say about Okada, he can put on. He seems like the type that can put on a good match with anyone.
He can,
Yes.
and it is actually his current title reign is considered the greatest title reign of all time.
But for I mean, once again, this is someone now going into New Japan. He just doesn't seem as interesting.
Well, you have to also remember that he's top babyface.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But in terms of because he's had the title for so long, and like I see all these other, because I'm new, so a lot of these new people that you guys have known for a while, it's like, oh man, this guy's cool, and then I see Okada, it's like, okay.
3 stars Goto.
4-star. He had a great match with Minoru Suzuki on
3 3/4 stars.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big
4-star.
I'm a big fan of Suzuki. I love the whole appeal of him.
The match was
Suzuki's great because he's literally just Heihachi Mishima.
Yeah, basically.
I'll never forget the time that I watched him slap the shit out of Asuka. He fucking paintbrushed the shit out of her and then started beating the shit out of her on the ground. That to me was amazing.
I actually wanted to ask this one before you get into the other questions. Is there a women's division in New Japan? Or
Nope.
no?
Not in Japan, no. You just watch Stardom. Or any of the multiple women's divisions.
So the reason why I'm seeing Japanese women come to NXT is because there's a promotion in Japan that is specifically women.
There's multiple that are only women.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I just wanted to make sure, because I was like, oh, there's no women here, but that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, that's because Joshi Pro is its own thing.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. All right, so what were the other questions?
Oh, that's really it.
You're like, I have some questions for you.
Yeah,
guys.
I did. There was 2. That's some questions.
I mean, I assume some is 3.
No, unfortunately.
Okay, I have one, and we will actually be having this as a topic in a future episode, but, hold on, let me get the definition out first, because I don't want to fuck it up. Give me a second here. Talk about shit, Jake.
I don't know.
Let's go back to Okada not being interesting, because I really think he's interesting.
I do too. I really like Okada.
He's definitely not a babyface. Maybe it's
Like I said,
He is. He's
it's
more
probably that thing that I have to watch more of to really get the understanding of him.
Yeah.
It's just like
He's
when
way
when
too
you're
hot.
when you're surrounded by a bunch of new shiny toys, like like I said, it's coming from the fact that here are all these new shiny toys with all these cool things about them, and then there's Okada. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well,
really cocky, man.
once again, you have to look into him. He's very Ric Flairish.
Yeah. No, I could see what he's kind of going for and stuff like that, which is not really my type of thing anyway. And honestly, I could see it as your thing. I could see Okada sticking out like a sore thumb for you. But he's not really like my appealing type of guy, you know what I mean? But I'll look into him more. Like I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Like there's a reason why he's there.
Definitely.
All right, so
Well,
It's because
Japan.
he's able to bring out the best
Alright,
in
so-
everybody.
I'm gonna say right now, what would you guys consider your boys in wrestling to be? And here in the OSW Review Dictionary, which I got it from, a boy is a generally not very talented wrestler that didn't achieve success where there's a bit of cringe factor admitting he was one of your favorites.
Bubba Ray.
Bubba Ray.
Isn't he a TNA heavyweight champion?
Oh fuck, you're right.
Hold on, there's a ruling behind that.
Oh wait, so it's someone that you cringe to say you really liked, right?
Critique it for being a boy. Unsuccessful. No WWE, WWF, WCW, NWA, or NJPW world titles. This rules out Christian and Steve.
Oh, well,
It does
Sami Zayn. Unless if you count the NXT title.
I probably would.
Uh,
Alright, also you gotta remember, it's also unpopular. He must not be respected in general or have a hope for the future. Think the Ascension. And also, there has to be a little bit of untalentedness there, where it's like, there's a certain cringe factor. Like, you have to be like, do we really want to say he's my boy?
I really don't have boys then.
You don't have any guilty pleasure?
Not really. I guess Maven. But Maven's more of an ironic thing.
No. That's the boy. That's a boy.
But
If you have any affinity, whether it be negative at all, if you
Yeah.
want to chuckle or something like
Then
that,
it's Maven.
that's a boy. Yeah, your boy's Maven.
Maven's more of an ironic thing, but yes.
I mean, I have many, but then again, you know, I have Jerry, I've Scotty Too Hottie, I have Shelton Benjamin, I have
Come on, he's
Mama!
yeah. I mean, come on, we're talking about a man that a lot of his entire run was based off what is it because I'm black, and walking out to the ring with his mom, who was a ratchet fat black lady.
But then he went to Japan and hung out with Suzuki.
He did.
Oh, Jesus is also my boy. Can Jesus count?
Yeah.
Jesus counts.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah, he counts.
Jesus is up there.
Like, in Japan, Suzuki-gun... No, not...
Goon!
The fucking... Goddamn, we were talking about them. The job kind of... I don't want to call them job squad.
Killer Elite Squad?
No. It's with,
It's not Taguchi Japan. They held major
Yeah.
titles for all month.
I love Taguchi Japan. They're great.
Taguchi
Yeah,
Japan,
they could be
members.
considered... They could be considered boys.
I'm
No.
not gonna know.
No, because Tanahashi.
Tanahashi has the IC title.
Well,
Taguchi
not
has
all of
multiple
them. Not
senior
all
heavyweights.
of them. Not all of them.
Pretty much all of them.
Ricochet.
Pretty much all of them.
Taguchi is basically like comedy Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Multiple-time singles junior heavyweight champion.
Exactly. He may not have won the world title, but that's because he's not in that division.
I mean, Hurricane.
Eh,
Didn't you like the Hurricane gimmick?
no.
Gregory Helms is long.
What's up with that? That doesn't count. It has to be, when I say title, it means like the big title.
All right.
And the only reason why I'm ruling out Sami Zayn is because it's NXT title is the big title of NXT.
Titles to count. You should have never won a title in WWE.
It means like the big titles because, like, you know, Tadger's won a bunch of tag team titles, so it can't be like the top title.
So it's just, but that's like a WWE definition. Because titles matter in other promotions. Some of the main event paper.
No, I understand that, but for this ruling, spanning across, it rules out anyone that has had the main title.
Oh wait, my boy's Bone Soldier.
Bone Soldier.
You can fuck off with your Captain New Japan bullshit. Oh, Yujiro Takahashi also.
Oh, that's
He won every
Tokyo
tag title.
No, but he's the Tokyo Pimp.
He won every tag title in New Japan. They only got.
everybody. It's been great. Once again, this is the new podcast format. I'm hoping you're appreciative of it. Like I said, we'll be doing a podcast every month. I would want to do every other week, but you know what? every month seems like it's gonna work for everyone in involvement with it. Thank you for joining us in the new year, new era of Lariat Latte. I'm enjoying the new change to the format. I think it's gonna be great for everyone involved. Signing off, guys, and yeah, dig it. Later.